Welcome to the Christmas show, where we hope to love and love to hope. Broken hearts and messed up souls, we will deck your halls with boughs of snow. So don't be sad, this the season of gift. Don't be sad.
I think music for me is everything, something I'm really passionate about, and I've always found time to do music, whether it's playing or performing, or even consuming music, whether that's listening or going to a concert, which unfortunately we can't do anymore because of the situation now. I remember that during the circuit breaker period in Singapore, when we all couldn't go out and everybody was stuck at home, I found myself on the piano more often than I have in the past 10 years or so, and I would sit down at the piano every day. I still do now, and try to learn new stuff, try to play new music, try to compose new stuff. But the other thing that the circuit breaker period I think gave to my family was because we spend so much time together as a family. My son and I spend a lot of time on the piano together, discovering new music, trying to play new music, and that was something positive that came out of the whole situation. Hi, my name is Caleb. I'm a business development executive, and music is one of my true loves in life. My music journey started when I was really young. I think I was 4 years old at the time, and one of my aunts actually works as a teacher in Yamaha Music School, and she recommended to my mom that she should sign me up for JMC. And shortly after I started with JMC, my mom then signed me up for violin lessons at Yamaha itself. And I continued with these two, I think, until I was about 8 years old, and I then went on to do solo music lessons and did the whole ABRSM route, and I continued with that until I stopped at around grade 6. So I didn't know this at the time, but I think how music has actually helped me develop as a person, even up to today, was that the reason I was enrolled for JMC was because I was a really impatient kid, and my mom wanted to find a way to solve that problem. And so my aunt actually told her to sign me up for music lessons because it fosters patience, because you need patience to learn how to play. And I think over time it also taught me not just patience but perseverance, and the ability to overcome a song, so to speak, is something that you use in life to overcome obstacles as well, because starting out to learn a new song is always difficult, especially when you move up the grades. One other very interesting thing is that I think studying or learning music also helped me a lot with mathematics, because you're always counting, and it's always something is a half of another half, or double of something. And then there's timing that you have to keep to, and you're always counting in your head. Those are the really important things that I picked up with music. So group lessons are always, in my opinion, extremely important in the development or in the music development of any child, because a lot of music consumption is done personally. So you do listen to music by yourself. When you practice by yourself. And therefore, there's a tendency to tend to play for yourself when you perform. I think that group lessons and group performances are extremely useful because they help to teach the child, the individual in this case, never to focus on themselves. So they always have to think about what everybody else is playing, listen out for what everybody else is playing, and understand that they are not the star of the show. The music or the group at the end of the day is the star of the show. The whole concert and composition experience that I have today, I think stemmed from when I was very young. So even in JMC, we were doing performances at theatres and at concert halls, and even with violin, the violin side of things, we were always performing in shopping malls and recital theatres as well. So that started really young for me, and I think with the Yamaha music education, it was always about learning how to listen, sing and play, and then the composition after that. So it's always very creative, and we are always encouraged to try to think outside the box when it comes to music. And I see that now with my son as well, especially in his classes. So I decided to register my son with Yamaha because I think it was always a no-brainer. He was always going to undertake the same musical education that I started with. And a big reason for this was because I always wondered how I had perfect pitch, and I always thought that I was born with it. But it was only later on that I discovered that it was my JMC education that probably either boosted or gave me that perfect pitch. And I always found that having perfect pitch was extremely useful in any musical situation because you get there faster, right? And I wanted my son to have that same thing as well. Junior Music Course or JMC has really helped Zachary, my son, develop because the whole structure with which Yamaha or JMC works around this whole hear, sing, play, and then the composition bits are extremely important for him to build confidence. So I always tell Zachary that if you can sing it, you can play it. And I've always thought that was one of the most important tenets that you subscribe to when you do music. Even now when he goes into class and he learns more difficult stuff every week, we always go back to that philosophy, of hearing first, trying to hear it in your mind, sing it in your mind, and then play it. So that's always there. As he's grown older in JMC and progressed as well, I think there's a lot of emphasis on composition, which is also, I think, very, very important for fostering creativity in a child. When it comes to my expectations for Zachary, I think maybe it's best to rewind to my time when I was doing music or when I was studying music. And I think that growing up in a very, very traditional Asian family, it was never meant to be anything more than a hobby. Music was never meant to be anything more than a hobby for me, even though I always wanted to embark on a professional music career. That didn't materialize, but I think what we've done with Zachary is give him a foundation to build up towards that if he chooses. And if he does decide to embark on music as a career, I think number one, we'll always support him to do that, and number two, he'll have all the fundamental building blocks to do that because of his starting foundations, So I think the Yamaha music education system, at least for us, was very, very important in terms of Zachary's upbringing. Partially because with music, I think you always have to start young, when the child knows no boundaries and has no fear, which is why I think adults always struggle to learn music more than kids do because of that basic fundamental no boundary, no fear kind of mentality that a child has. But apart from that, I also think that the structure that the JMC course allows him to really be more confident. So he's at that age now where we are exposing him to more music, a wide spectrum of music. And we always believe that, especially in terms of music, you should never stick to one genre. So he listens to almost everything, and he, like I said, he's at the age where he's starting to listen and he's starting to want to play that on the piano to make that music he's listened to come to life in the home. And I think that he's learned a lot of that from JMC because of this whole listen and then sing and play, and he's internalizing that even as he listens to music.